Hello again and welcome to another 140k Imperial Guard Tactics video. Before we get into today's video, I would like to say a huge thank you to Bazdan for sending in some truly incredible pictures of his converted Imperial Guard Leman Russ. Baz has sent in pictures before to the channel and they're always absolutely fantastic. And the moment I saw these ones, I knew I had to use them. I mean, what can I say? The pictures speak for themselves. The level of detail is amazing. The little glass bottle on the back of the tank, all that kind of stuff is just so cool. Massive thank you to Baz for sending these pictures in. They're truly always a treat to have a look at. I hope you guys enjoy them too. If anyone else has got any cool pictures they want me to use in my videos, please post them on my Facebook page or you can email them to me at mordianglorytv@gmail.com. So without further ado, let's crack on with today's video. Now today guys, I want to talk about what I would say is one of the biggest mistakes that I see newer players to the competitive scene make. And I see this a lot with people, especially people who have gone through some kind of like coaching service or something like that. And I just want to be absolutely clear, this is not ragging on coaching services whatsoever. I know loads of people that use them, and some players that I've seen use them have gone through such a transformation using them that the results speak for themselves. It's not ragging on them at all. This is what I would say is when people almost stick to the coaching that they've had too much and they almost miss one of the key elements of 40k. So what is the big mistake? Well, what I tend to see people making, the mistake I see them making, is they get a little bit of tunnel vision. They're a little inflexible and they're almost too concentrated on trying to apply what they've almost read online or what they've learned or anything like that. They've got a plan and they stick to it like glue. And having a plan going into 40k is very important. Some of you will be saying, but Mordian Glory, you always talk about having a plan and, you know, pick your objectives before the game and always go to a build list around secondaries and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, absolutely. And that is really important too. You don't just want to like throw a list together. When you're building a list, you want to have an idea, what secondaries are you going to take? Okay, like if I'm taking 365 conscripts, I know that there's no point in really taking any of like the killing ones. I might as well take like, you know, to the last, put 3 units in reserve, you know, stranglehold, banners, stuff like that. Like I've got an idea of what I'm going to take, and that's my sort of general theme of how I'm going to play the arm at the event. But the key is to be flexible. Don't just stick to the plan no matter what. This isn't like World War I where you're given your packet of orders and you're like, well, we've just got to keep going, that's what the order says. But sir, the artillery is right ahead of us, the creeping barrage hasn't moved forward. Well, no, order says we've got to go, it's, you know, 0600, so off we go. March into the barrage, men. You know, it's not like that, and that's almost what you see some people doing. They're like, well, my coach said that this list has got a certain objective, so I'm just going to set objectives and then I'll win the game. And like, you know, that's what some people will do, and it's like, no, that will work for some of your games, and your list is obviously designed around that, and you've built on that, and that's great, but you've missed a key element, which is you have to be flexible. You have to be able to look at a situation and go, right, my original plan was this, but even before the game starts, just looking at my opponent's list, looking at the way he's deployed, I don't think he's gonna do that. I need to change my plan. And it's really important to be able to do that because, and this is kind of the difference, this is why I always say to people, just play games. Just go and play games and try stuff out. Don't worry about losing. Don't care if you have a 90% loss rate. Don't care if you have a 100% loss rate. Just play games. My brother, who some of you will know on this channel, he's like the regular Blood Angels player and all that kind of stuff. He was, when he was getting into his Death Watch for the first time, he's got quite a big Death Watch army. He literally played, I think it was 10 or 15 games in a row with them and lost every single one. And he didn't care. He was just trying things out. He didn't stick to a plan or anything like that. He was just experimenting. He was just trying. And eventually, it just clicked. And eventually, he just went, right, this is how it works. This is the plan I've got, but I built my list so it's also flexible enough that it can take on other situations as well. And I don't think I've defeated his Death Watch since. I don't think I have. I think his Death Watch, that's so good. He was ahead of everyone. He was doing, back in 8th edition, he was doing Storm Bolters and Storm Shields before anyone else did that because he just played games, he just tried things out, and he was willing to be flexible. And that is what you need to do. It's very important to do your pre-game planning. It's very important to do your pre-tournament prep. All of that is important. But what's most important is that you allow yourself to be open-minded and to be flexible. Okay? There's no point in sticking on a path if you know it's going to lead you to defeat. Try something else. Just try it. And so this is the biggest mistake that I see people taking. I'll give you some examples of some of the crazy stuff that I've seen people do because they were just obsessed with sticking to a plan. So the first example I can give you, and you guys, you almost won't believe this, but one of the first examples I give you is like, when I run pure infantry armies, even when I run like 365 conscripts, okay, even when I run armies that are so obvious that you should pick no prisoners against them, people don't pick it. People don't pick no prisoners. Even though they could max it out by killing a third of my army, they don't pick it. Because they just go, it's not in my plan. My plan is to do this. My army does this, and this is what I need to do. And like, then they just like lose games that they shouldn't have lost. You know, they get to the end of the game and go, oh, shouldn't have taken banners against you, really, should I? And I'm there thinking, no, you bloody shouldn't have taken banners against me. You know, if it's like a friendly tournament, I really don't care. I'll say to my opponent, you know, I'm not one of these arseholes who'll sit there and watch someone make like a mistake. Like, I'll go, mate, like, come on. I'm obviously going to out-ban you here. Like, just take no prisoners. And he'll go, and they'll literally, like a light bulb goes off in their head, and they'll go, oh yeah, no prisoners, because they hadn't even considered it. Because they were so focused on just sticking to the plan, sticking to what I have prepared. It's like, no. I've literally played against, like, people whose armies are like designed to like certain objectives, and I'm there looking, and I'm like, you can set objectives all you want. I'm gonna out obsec you every single turn. You're never gonna get what you want. Take something different. You're never gonna get that stranglehold. You're never gonna get that banners. You know, and yet they just take, you know. And if it's a competitive tournament, you know, I won't say anything. But if it's a friendly, you know, or if it's a team tournament, or like a friendly tournament, I'll be like, look, mate, just this is a bad pick. Like, I'm not telling you what to do. You do you. I'm just pointing out my army gives away maximum prisoners if you kill 1/3 of it. You know, and I'll be honest with them. I'll be friendly with them like that. But it's, you know, that's one of the like crazy things. And likewise, when I went to London Grand Tournament last year, I ran a full mechanised armoured company, full one. I think out of 1 in 5 games, someone picked Bring It Down, whatever the frigate's called these days. Someone picked the one where you get points for killing tanks. One person. Everyone else stuck to the plan. I'm not taking that. It's like, what are you doing? You're getting free points for killing me. Just kill me. I'm guard. I'm not that hard to kill. Even my tanks aren't that hard. This was like pre-2-up save and all this kind of stuff. Nah, I'm going to stick to the plan. It's like, oh, Jesus. You just see people do it all the time. And some of the best players out there. So one of the things that just separates like the best players from, you know, from the people that, you know, who aren't as good, you know, the rest of us, the plebs, you know, the normies, you know, that's the rest of us. The best players are so flexible, and they have this ability to just, in half a second, look at a list, look at the terrain, and go, right, plan's changed. And they do it instinctively, and that's what makes the best players. And that's what I think, you know, that's why I always try and encourage you guys when you're listening to these, like, you know, don't just follow these videos like gospel. These videos are a guide. Go out, play games, try things for yourself, you know, because if you just follow exactly what I say, this video isn't tailored to like your exact method, it might not work. You know, but that's where you've got to be. Like, if the one thing you just take away from this video is just be flexible. Have a plan, but be ready to change. Now, there is one caveat here. Sometimes you do need to see a plan through. Sometimes you have to just grit your teeth and just know that in the end, if you just stick to it, you will come out the other side. And but it's very important to be able to recognise the difference between this, okay? And typically, how I would say a good example of this is if you're running an army like a pure infantry guard army, okay? Or you're running an army like my hybrid Cadian army that I used to run. I still do run it, where I had like my 4 tanks, my 2 manticores, and like my 120, 140 infantry. That army was designed around winning in the later game, okay? That army was literally designed to be like, I know I'm going to lose initially. I know the first 2 turns are going to be hell. They're going to be all over me. I'm not going to get past the midpoint of the board. It's going to be hard. But I just have to not panic. I have to be able to just see. I have to be able to adapt. And I just need to be able to just know, grit my teeth, that I'm going to come out the other side turn 4, turn 5. And that is, you can see the difference between that. One of those is like just having a plan. I must take these secondaries. I must not deviate from the plan. That's the wrong kind of sort of plan to have. And the other plan that I was talking about was like, it's like I built a list to operate in a certain way. It's going to operate a certain way, but I'm keeping my mind open when it comes to like secondaries. Now, what's really important is like, don't go away with this video and go, Mordianglory says I've got to take different secondaries every single game. No, of course not. Don't do that. That's probably almost going too far in the direction. In all things, moderation is key. What I'm talking about here, guys, is like, let's say you are, let's say you're an Imperial Guard player. Perfect unit. Most people watching this video will be. And let's say you have built a list that is going to be good at engaging all fronts, or good at retrieve Nachman data, right? I also said Noctarius data, retrieve Nachman data. But you come across an opponent who is going to be really good at screening you out. And even with, you know, your scions that might be able to deep strike like 5 inches away, even with that, you're like, I don't know if I can max out Nachman. I don't know if I can do it. I might be able to do it like 3 times, get like 8 points, but I think that's the max I'm going to get. But then you're like, okay, but let's look at this. It's a 5 objective game. I've got the bodies where I'm, you know, basically the deployment zone. 2 of these objectives are like in my deployment zone. My opponent, I've got guard, I've got loads of screening, I've got enough screening to like hold my opponent off forever. My opponent's never going to get into my deployment zone. So instead of going like Nachman, why don't I go banners instead? Because banners, I could raise 2 banners in the first turn, and then I just stop my opponent from taking those banners down. That's what I put my efforts into. And it's really, if you're on the defensive, it can be really easy to just stop your opponent like doing stuff that they want to do. You can just counter them because you just counter what what they're trying to do to you. And you go, right, now that I'm going to be on banners all game, I'm going to get 10 points out because I'm going to get 2 turn 2, 3, 4, 5, then I'll get 2 at the end of the game. That's 10 points. So instead of thinking, oh, well, I might get 8 points, you're like, well, I've been flexible enough. I've still stuck with my stronghold. I've still stuck with like maybe my engage or something like that, you know, or whatever, or, you know, Hammer of the Emperor. I've still taken those 2, but I've been flexible on my Nachman, and I know that I'm now, rather than going for like 8 points, I'm going for like 10 points. You might even get more than that. So that's what I'm talking about in terms of flexibility. But don't just like throw everything out the window. But just have a level of flexibility. You know, and if you want to like pre-plan stuff, have your 3 stratagems that you know you're going to take, and then just pick like 2 or 3 that you'll be like as backup stratagems, not stratagems, they're secondaries. Pick those as your backup secondaries. That's how you start to do it. But like, don't, you know, there's sometimes there'll be crazy situations where you'll be like, I need to sit on this objective, and then you're like, well, if I just sit on this objective, my opponent is going to come with his custodians, they're all bloody obsec, he's going to come in and he's going to take me off, and then I'm not going to be able to keep it. And then you go, okay, well, you know what instead I'll do? I will leave 1 squad on the objective, or 2 squads on the objective, but I will charge my conscript squad, a conscript blob into those custodians. I'll wrap and trap them, I'll charge them in. And you might think, well, that's mad, why would you do that? You're losing men in your own turn. And it's like, well, I'm being flexible. Because if those custodians can come and fight me on their terms, then I'm going to lose the objective. But if I can wrap and trap and just bog those custodians down with like 20 or 30 conscripts, I only need like 1 or 2 of them to live, and then the enemy has to fall back, and then he might not be able to achieve what he wants to achieve, or he's got to spend a stratagem to do it. You know, he's got to spend CP he might not want to spend to do it. So this is what I mean about being flexible. This is what I mean about being open-minded. This is what I mean about like, there's plans, but then you've got to be able to adapt. And like I said, that's the #1 mistake that I see newer competitive players making. Sometimes even more experienced ones, but this is the #1 mistake I see newer competitive players making. Anyway, guys, that's today's video. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. What other common competitive mistakes do you see people make? Do you agree with the one that I think? This is the one I say is my #1 mistake that I see people make. Do you agree with me? Do you think there's a bigger one? If there is, put it down in the comment section below, and I might do another video around it going, oh yeah, it's a really, really good point. So just put the stuff down in the comment section below. Before I end the video, I want to say a huge thank you to the channel Patreon supporters. It is, without a doubt, thanks to the Patrons that this channel is able to keep going. If I didn't have the Patrons, I wouldn't be able to go to tournaments or anything like that. I wouldn't be able to get new models. You guys are legendary. You know you are, but I'm making a bigger and bigger deal out of the Patrons as I just come to appreciate you more and more and more. You guys are just fantastic. So huge thank you to the current Patreon supporters. And if you're interested in becoming a Patreon supporter, if you want to support the channel, if you want to see me go to more tournaments, do more tournament reports, try more crazy armies, check out the link in the description below. Thank you for watching, and of course, I'll see you guys next time.